So guys, today we have a max cushion premium daily trainer shootout between the ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 26 and the Brooks GLYCERIN 21. Let's get into it. Okay, let's get started with a few disclosures. Both of these shoes, the GEL-NIMBUS 26 and the GLYCERIN 21, were sent to me for the purpose of review by my friends over at Roadrunner Sports. However, no one at Roadrunner Sports has told me what to say, they don't have any editorial input, and all the thoughts and opinions are my own. So let's jump right into that comparison, and we'll start off with price. The GEL-NIMBUS 26 will cost you $160, the GLYCERIN 21 will cost you $160. I know, both of these are premium daily trainers, they're going to cost around the same, but in the case of these two shoes, they cost exactly the same, so that's really not going to help you decide. And if you're thinking that these two shoes are just too similar to decide which one is going to be best for you, there are a couple of things that set them apart from each other, and we'll get to that. Okay, as far as sizing goes, both of these shoes do fit true to size. And you know what? I think both of these shoes are going to work for slightly wider footed runners. They do have a nice wide forefoot, and there is plenty of room in the toe box. In the men's version of the GEL-NIMBUS 26, we have 42 in the heel, 34 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop. And in the women's version, we have 41 in the heel, 33 in the forefoot, both for an 8mm drop. The GLYCERIN 21, Brooks claims, has 28 in the heel, 18 in the forefoot, but that is just measuring the midsole. We actually have about 40 in the heel, 30 in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. So 8mm drop, 10mm drop. I know that drop is going to make a difference to some of you. As far as weight goes, ASICS claims that in a US men's size 9, the GEL-NIMBUS 26 will tip the scale at 10.7 ounces or 307 grams. However, in my size, the GEL-NIMBUS 26 tips the scale at 13.2 ounces or 373 grams. The GLYCERIN 21 in a US men's size 9 tips the scale at 9.8 ounces or 277.8 grams, and in my size, US men's size 13, it tips the scale at 11.9 ounces or 336 grams. So in my size, the GLYCERIN 21 is 37 grams lighter than the GEL-NIMBUS 26, and yet when it's in my hands, it is noticeable. And before we get into the materials, I should just tell you that ASICS claims that the GEL-NIMBUS 26 has a carbon footprint that is 25% lower than the industry standard. Now, Brooks claims that the upper on the GLYCERIN 21 uses 59.7% recycled materials, which equates to being better. I have no idea. But I guess the positive aspect of that is that both companies are trying to do something environmentally conscious. Okay, why don't we start with the GLYCERIN 21, and we will start at the top, we'll work our way down. We have a very traditional, very plush heel collar. The heel counter is just super rigid. Brooks has updated the upper on the GLYCERIN 21. We have a new warp knit upper. The tongue is a traditional tongue. It is super plush. In fact, this whole outlook is very plush looking. The tongue is not gusseted, but we do have a lace loop right here in the middle. We have tubular laces. I had no problem getting a good midfoot lockdown, and the laces stayed tied. There isn't too much going on with overlays on the GLYCERIN 21. We do have an underlay coming around the toe box, some reinforcement along the eyelet chain, so you can really cinch on those laces to get a good lockdown, which is sometimes difficult in a really plush shoe. I didn't run into any issues with the GLYCERIN 21, and that's about it for the upper. Moving over to the GEL-NIMBUS 26, we also have an engineered knit upper. It's actually very similar. It feels very similar to the GLYCERIN 21, but there are a few other changes. So if I hold this up to show you, we have a very plush heel collar. However, the cushioning on the GEL-NIMBUS 26 is just slightly recessed into the heel collar, and this makes it more like a padded bolster on the inside. And we have this knit heel collar that is quite thin, and effectively what that does is it keeps this heel collar, the actual edge of the heel collar, away from your skin, away from your ankle, and then inside it just kind of grips your ankle. And I gotta say, I do prefer the heel collar on the GEL-NIMBUS 26 over the GLYCERIN 21. I'm just gonna hold it up, you can see it's more aesthetically pleasing, and I like the way it feels on my foot a lot more. Of course, ASICS has included this nice knit heel pull, which I haven't actually put my finger through until now in testing, but if you like a heel pull, maybe your mind has been made up on the GEL-NIMBUS 26. Okay, continuing on with the tongue. The tongue on the GEL-NIMBUS 26, it's knit. It's the same material as the upper. It is very elasticy, like I can pull on that, stretch it really high up. The tongue is gusseted, and we've got this tongue pull right on the front, and the laces are going through it. But the tongue is gusseted, so it's not going anywhere. It's not going to migrate. Same deal with the overlays as the GLYCERIN 21. We've got some underlays coming around the toe, got some branding on both sides, and then on the eyelet chain, it's a little different. We don't have a reinforced eyelet chain. We've got a little reinforcement over these eyelet holes right here on the bottom and again on the top. But in the middle, we've got these lace loops. Now, I don't know if which one is actually better. Well, I'm going to tell you which one actually I think is better, because that's why you're watching me for my opinion. I should say before I tell you which one I like better, that both shoes, the NIMBUS 26 and the GLYCERIN 21, both claim to have an improved midfoot lockdown. However, when it came down to it, and I was wearing both of these shoes on one on each foot. I think I do like the lockdown of the Nimbus 26 just a little better. However, the eyelet chain on the Nimbus 26 does get a little close when I really cinch it down. So this is a high volume shoe. This is also a pretty high volume shoe, but because this is a knit tongue, I noticed a little bit of bunching in the middle. Still, both were equally as comfortable when they were on my foot, and when I was standing still, it was very difficult to feel a difference. In fact, I can't say it was very difficult. It was impossible to feel a difference. Both of these shoes fit your feet like a slipper. It's like a lot of cushioning wrapping your foot. Let's come down to the midsole. The midsole on the Brooks GLYCERIN 21 is using DNA Flash V3. That's a nitrogen injected midsole. The ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 26 is using their Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco, and that Eco version of the Flight Foam Blast Plus midsole uses 20% bio-based content. Which midsole do I like better? Well, I'll tell you about that in just a second when we talk about the ride. Before we talk about the ride, let's come down to the outsole. We have a good amount of rubber here on the outsole. The GEL-NIMBUS 26 is using a hybrid ASICS grip, and that's a blend of ASICS grip and AHR. AHR is an acronym for ASICS High Abrasion Rubber. The GLYCERIN 21 is using Brooks Road Track rubber. Now, I don't know how well you can see how this outsole rubber is actually formed, but both have a similar structure. It seems that the GEL-NIMBUS 26 has more rubber, but if you thought that, you'd be mistaken. The GEL-NIMBUS 26 has quite a bit of rubber, but the rubber itself is actually quite thin, and it appears in places to be almost level with the midsole foam. The Brooks Road Track rubber here is very thick, which is especially surprising because the shoe is so much lighter than the GEL-NIMBUS 26. But just by having this much outsole rubber, I'm going to say that the GLYCERIN 21 is going to last quite a bit longer than the GEL-NIMBUS 26. Now, I can't really compare. I've had the GEL-NIMBUS 26 quite a bit longer than I've had the GLYCERIN 21. I've put more volume in this shoe than the GLYCERIN 21, but still, I don't see any wear on the outsole of GLYCERIN 21, and I'm pretty firm. I'm pretty confident that the GLYCERIN 21 is going to last a lot longer, at least as far as the outsole goes, than the GEL-NIMBUS 26. Oh, something I did brush right over, and I keep saying GEL-NIMBUS 26, and I forgot to tell you about that little bit of gel that's in the heel of the GEL-NIMBUS 26. Now, you can't see it anymore. They've kind of hidden it on the inside, but it's there. Does that actually make a difference? I don't know, I can't tell the difference, but it's nice to know it's there. Of course, if that gel is contributing to the weight and making it weigh so much more than the GLYCERIN 21, maybe I could do without it, but it's in there and it's supposed to create a softer ride. And with that, I think that's a good time to actually talk to you about the ride. And this is where I think your decision is going to be made on which one you actually go for, because the ride is where these shoes really differ. And in a nutshell, the GEL-NIMBUS 26 is softer than the GLYCERIN 21. Now, the GLYCERIN 21 is not firm by any means. I think it has a lovely step-in feel. I think it feels good when I'm on the run, but I wouldn't call the GLYCERIN 21 plush. I'd call it extremely cushioned, but not plush. To me, the GEL-NIMBUS 26 rides very plush, especially in the heel. Now, we do have a little more stack height in the heel, so that could contribute to it. We do have the gel in the heel, that could also contribute to it, but I found overall the GEL-NIMBUS 26 to be a much softer ride than the GLYCERIN 21. So with that in mind, do you prefer a softer ride or a slightly firmer ride? Now, no one would call the GLYCERIN 21 a firm ride. It's still a soft ride, just not as soft as the GEL-NIMBUS 26. Now, look, both of these shoes are for the same thing, right? When you pick up one of these shoes, you're probably going out for a long run, you're probably going out for an easy run, maybe a recovery run. However, if I had the choice and I was going out for a recovery run, I'm probably going to reach for the GEL-NIMBUS 26. But for everything else, when I'm not looking for a soft plush ride, probably going to reach for the GLYCERIN 21. Overall, I liked how the GLYCERIN 21 rode a little better than the GEL-NIMBUS 26. That could have something to do with the weight, but when I was running in the shoes, the weight wasn't that big of a difference for me to notice, even when I had one shoe on each foot. So in summary, we have two shoes made for the same purpose. And if you're a Brooks person or an ASICS person, then you've probably already made up your mind. But if you're looking for something that's just a little lighter, it has a firmer underfoot feel than the ASICS 26. And if I had to choose one that is maybe a better all-rounder, I'm probably going with GLYCERIN 21. However, if you're a fan of a nice, plush, soft ride, slightly higher stack height, and the soft ride is really noticeable when you hit that heel, so if you're walking or you're a heel striker, then maybe you're going to go with the GEL-NIMBUS 26. So if you have made it to this point in the video, I want you guys to make a decision. Based on what I've told you, which would you choose? The Brooks GLYCERIN 21 or the ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 26? Drop a comment and let me know. All right, guys, I'm going to provide links to both of these shoes at Roadrunner Sports. So if you want to pick up a pair, go ahead and click on those links. It doesn't cost you any more, just helps out the channel a little bit. And with that, it's Matt B. This has been a comparison, a shootout between the Brooks GLYCERIN 21 and the ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 26. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.